Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here is Mr. Pavan Peechara. Please give a big hand to him. Sir.
Good afternoon, and I would start by saying this will be slightly technical. I will do my best in trying to keep up with you all. Where you have any questions, I'll take after that. But this is a session where we are going to talk about Alankit's GSP and why, among all the 34 GSPs, we would probably see this as one of the best platform, one of the best gateways, as the earlier speaker, Tejas Desai from NSDL has said. This is a pipe between ASPs, taxpayers, tax return payer applications, or enterprise tax technology applications, and the GSTN. So why this pipe has to be well laid and why it should work good for you and how it would work, I'll be talking over the next 30 minutes. So just a little background. We've been working in Indian indirect taxation since last 24 years now, 1993. One of our companies has started off in Masjid, where you have traders, steel traders, chemical traders, to serving large companies like international companies. Hindi. I will try. Hindi, my Hindi is not as good, but I'll try wherever I can. तो हम बॉम्बे में मस्जिद में स्टार्ट हुए थे. वहाँ पे 1993 में एक्साइज टैक्स ऑटोमेशन के लिए स्टार्ट करे थे. तब छोटे कंपनीज, मगर एक्साइज टैक्स ट्रेडर्स के लिए बहुत मुश्किल होता है. मैन्युफैक्चरर्स से ज़्यादा ट्रेडर्स के लिए इसलिए मुश्किल होता है कि उनका परचेजेस भी लेना है, सेल्स भी लेना है, विच इज़ वेरी similar to abhi jo GST is there for everyone, like manufacturers and everyone. So India is a complex environment from indirect taxes. I don't have to say it, you know it. Plethora of taxes, complex reporting requirements, frequent tax changes, and this is one thing we have to live with. Hopefully we don't have to, abhi aage jaake GST itna change nahi hoga, hope karenge. Ambiguity in tax rules, this has been the case with service tax, this has been the case with VAT. Let's again imagine ambiguity doesn't happen as much with GST. But if ambiguity happens, remember it's monthly, so it's slightly more difficult here. Existing indirect taxes from central perspective, आपको मालूम होगा excise, service tax, central sales tax, customs duty, export import. In state level पे आपको VAT, luxury tax, electricity duty, entertainment tax, entry tax and octroi. We have 29 states, 2 union territories with legislative power and 5 union territories without. So that's a total of 36. How much is it going to change? It's kind of dicey because, you know, आगे जाके भी 36 state GST registration करना है. States have limited power, but when it comes to companies which are smaller, आपका अगर कोई client रहेगा, वो small business between 20 lakhs to 1.5 crores, still the audit powers, everything is with the state bodies. So now, going forward, all of these are getting consumed in CGST, SGST, and ISGST. Complexity of Indian taxation, as of now, we are second complex in the world. China is number 1. They have a provincial tax system, so each state has its own tax. They don't have central tax system. but otherwise they also have cascading. Indian taxation is complicated, like speakers in the morning have touched upon. Cascading tax effects, tax on tax is prominent in India until now, right? And obviously compliance comes at a cost, and we've seen a lot of people avoid complying because of it. GST is a huge change. A lot of us are still imagining GST, but very soon we will start living GST. And GST is a huge change because of multiple reasons. I am an engineer, I'm not an accounting professional, I'm not a legal professional, but GST has its advantages, GST could have its disadvantages. For example, globally how taxes have been designed, local bodies, local governments would run with property taxes, right? Municipalities and panchayats and stuff like that. This is uniform across the world. Now, state level, you have sales tax, as their primary funding mechanism, how to run the government. And central level, it has been import duties and excise duties. Now, GST is going to bring all of this into one system, not property tax, of course, but local bodies are going to have its own thing. Now, apart from that, now what is going to happen is your value-added system comes into play. That's where your tax that is net liable to government end of the day is your sales minus purchases. So the ability to do the calculations which are pertinent to your sales versus your purchases, वो transactions को matching करना, वो transactions को आप properly लेना, you're making sure vendor is doing, that is where the huge change will start, and I think we will all need time, at least 1-2 years to settle down, but automation is going to help you to get there sooner. So obviously, this slide was slightly different, but number of tax filings for an average company, 32, Shops and Establishment Act, all these compliances, they are going to go down by at least 13 now. Ease of business hopefully gets better. So benefits of proposed GST as per Edelweiss research, they say current effective rate is 22 to 29%, and we believe most of the published articles by all eminent people say people leave money on the table. When we say people leave money on the table, the amount of credit that you can take because you don't have proper automation. आप जब software ठीक से use नहीं करते, जब सभी, I'll give you a simple example. Your employee expenses are probably maintained, like your expenses coming here are probably maintained in your HR system or separate ledger, right? Can you take credit against these expenses if they are business expenses in GST? Yes. Are they recorded in your tally? If they are not, you are not taking the credit. So this being a very simple example, but when you look at it, if you don't have all your transactions properly accounted for, you are losing money or leaving money on the table. On an average, in indirect tax, they say 2% is what people overpay to governments. 2% for a 100 crore company, and remember, indirect tax is your input tax. It's not profit, tax on profit, right? It's your input tax, it's cost of doing business. So leaving 2% of your input tax is for a 100 crore, or for a 10 crore company, it's phenomenally high. For a 100 crore company, it is high, and for a 1,000 crore company, it's almost like 16 crores or whatever, right? So let's look at GST as not just something which is lowering your tax, net indirect tax, but also giving you ability to go towards better managing your set-offs and better managing your credits available. Now, let's look at GSP is something which is sandwiched in between GSTN on one side. So GSTN has its own requirements for what GSPs should do. All the GSPs have entered into a very strong contract which takes a lot of things from them. in terms of providing security, in terms of providing redundancy, in terms of providing quality of service. There are also demands and requirements from various ASPs or various technologies that work for accountants, that work for legal firms, or that work for enterprises or small businesses. Now, what is GSTN looking to do? And let's come to terms with actuality of what is GSTN going to do. आप अगर समझेंगे GSTN is probably going to become biggest data warehouse globally. Mark my words, it is probably going to be the biggest data warehouse in the world. Now, what are they going to do? They are going to run clearinghouse mechanism for IGST. They are going to provide backbone intelligence for your state commissioners and also central commissioners. They are going to have every data. They are going to be able to run every analytic and intelligence report for commissioners or inspectors or whoever they are. So that's the primary purpose of taking all this data, right? And to ensure everybody is compliant, to ensure everything is transparent. Now that is where we need, that brings to what kind of 80 is a small number, it will grow much faster, 80 lakhs. We are looking at 300 crore B2B invoice reconciliation. More than 120,000 tax officials. So I think this is what GSTN. Let's get into the GSP little sooner. So I think Tejas explained, but I think this probably explains you a little better. You have 100,000 business entities, hundreds of ASPs. You are going to have lots of small solutions, large solutions based on your company size or based on your professional type. We expect a lot of professionals like your data, like facilitation centers doing work for a lot of these small companies who are unprepared for GST kind of taxation. This is probably where you use a software, ASP software, and do it for them. 34 GSPs as of now, and GSTN. Now, what is GST's role? And this is a slide we've actually used from GSTN, but I'll explain you the core GST engine. If you look at the orange blocks, GSPs, above GSP there is ASP or tax technology. There are custom apps, ERP products, some ERP products if they do it themselves. Some mobile apps, and I believe mobile apps are not going to do your data processing for you, but they are going to be dashboards. If you got any notice, you could see in the mobile apps. Or if one of your client gets a notice, you can look in there. Now that you see that GSP is in between GST and apps, you will understand better here. GSTN, this is what GSTN envisages. What GSTN expects from a GSP. GSTN envisages a very important role for GSPs in making GST roll out. And primarily, if you look at it, for one body which is coming into existence new, right? There is a new body called GSTN that is coming into existence, and it has to support 8 million taxpayers. Can they do it? Can they, customer call center, support center, can they do it? So that's the most important delegation. What they are doing is to GSPs to ensure they have, even if GSTN goes down, let you handle your subsequent chain. So GSPs to me are the master dealers in your sales network if you want to look at it. Now, what ASPs expect from GSP, and I will explain this a little bit. आपको क्या होगा transactions में, कैसे आप compliances करेंगे, वो भी explain try करूँगा करने के लिए. मगर if you look at it, GSPs are so what ASPs expect? ASPs expect easy to adapt, enriched APIs, data protection and privacy, seamless data relaying, high availability and fault tolerance, multiple interfacing. And why? If you look at GSTR 1 and 2, and I request a little bit attention from you. Now, the source systems in blue are your company software. whether it is your tally, whether it is a point of sale system, or whether it is your ERPs. What you do from your source systems, you use probably you use a connector or converter and send the data. First, what do you send? आपका पूरा जो sales है, उनको GSTR1 data is what it is called. GSTN calls them GSTR1 data. Now, when you send source data, the data goes into the ASP solution. The one in orange and green is the ASP solution. There, your data is ready to be posted to GSTN. Of course, you don't have to worry about how we encrypt, what kind of packets we use and everything. That's all technology will take care. So you are sending the outward transactions. We are validating all the data against all the GSTN rules and pushing it into GSTN, getting an acknowledgement, giving you back. Now, when it comes to your procurements or purchases or what we call as inward transactions, that is where the tricky part is. What we need to do is, what an ASP needs to do is, it needs to take all the purchase transactions, different types of purchase transactions, B2B, credit notes, debit notes, whatever they are. Once they take all the data, they validate, they keep it ready. They validate, they keep it ready. But then, most important part is, you take the data from GSTN. GSTN will give you data that is submitted by your vendors. Vendors would have submitted their GSTR1, which is their sales. Their sales to you is your purchases. That is when you have to tally the data, and you have to keep on doing it in a cycle until you and GSTN agree that these are the reconciled transactions. That loop in technology is get and you have to post, you have to get, you have to post, you have to get. Now that's how you do your GSTR1, 2, which is data. Second, of course, returns, you know, GSTN is giving you a lot of ledgers. They will give you what is your credit available, what is your cash available. You calculate internally, this is where your tax professionals are doing, are the set-offs up to your planning or the credit management up to your planning. Save whatever money you can reject the data posting or you can reprocess, whatever. So this is again a to and fro activity. Now that's when, that is why you have to understand why GSP's role is so very important. GSP has to do this for, GSPs together have to do it for 8 million companies. Now what is Alankit's GSP? So if you take a few moments to look at what I have there, high performance and reliability. Performance and reliability are probably most important because you have thousands of companies, hundreds of thousands of companies, lakhon mein companies, they have to need your system to be ready, they need your system to work. Now, when you look at high performance, system is linear system, right? So how do you give high performance system? What happens if suddenly there is a lot of people coming on or a lot of load coming on? We are doing a multi-center, multi-node, multi-clustered environment, and Alankit's GSP is going to be something like this. You are going to have multiple servers in multiple locations. Each server or each, जिसको हम node बोलते हैं, each node is going to have a packet. So if any customer is submitting, or if any taxpayer or if any facilitation center is sending data, what will happen if some node goes down or disaster recovery mechanism, that will not work, because if one server goes down, you have to bring up another server, and that takes time. On 10th, if you are a tax professional and if one goes down and I'm wasting 2 hours to bring another one, that's not going to work like that. What we have here is a multi-node clustered environment where if something goes down, there are 8 other servers or 9 other servers already available. So what we offer is fault tolerant system. What is fault tolerance? आप जो packet भेजते हैं, उस packet का 3 internal copies बनाते हैं हम. Right? And those copies are available in 3 nodes. So if one node which took the copy and started processing is down, you will not even know that it is down because the other copy is started, the other server has started processing the other node. So we are giving you high performance, high availability with auto scaling. What is auto scaling? If a lot of people suddenly start doing it, a day before or day after, we can spin off nodes automatically, right? On the side where for ASPs to register, we are giving enriched APIs that are easy to use. We are giving easy setup management console. So any ASP can go there, register, get the token IDs, get the API token IDs, and they can start using them. We are also giving test and production environment. Test environments will be ready for you to use and prepare everything to be ready on first compliance date. Now status tracking, we are additionally giving you status tracking APIs. These are important because the notifications that you get from GSTN, how many times, let's say one of the facilitation center is doing for 200 customers, you are आप tax process कर रहे हैं. तो एक login करके आप today status check कर पाएंगे. So you can, that is where you will not use GSTN's portal, but you will use services offered by us where you can get all these statuses and you can get at them on a mobile app or on a dashboard. You have to wait a minute, please. Wait a minute, please. 2 minutes. Now how Alankit's GSP works. And some of you guys who are technical could understand this better, but we have something called as dead letter right there in the between. One of the core features for ASPs who are working with Alankit's GSTN, you will get callbacks. Callbacks for in absolute situations. So I'll explain you that a little bit. Let's imagine GSTN goes down. If GSTN is going down, how do you protect yourself? Do you have to resubmit all the data that you have submitted? Can the GSP provide you some kind of mechanism where you reduce that kind of tolerance, right? And this is the final slide. So, why Alankit's GSP? Availability, fault tolerance, GSTN failure handling, enriched API, and callbacks. I would have loved to give this presentation to only ASPs, but this being what is Alankit's GSP and why Alankit's GSP is better than anybody else, I think what we are going to deliver end of the day as Alankit's GSP is probably going to be the best platform. We are going to give you higher performance than any global messaging system. That's what we are targeting, and let's see if we will achieve. Thank you.
Well, that was a real great knowledge we had about from sir. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for him. And sir, before we honor you, there's something, obviously. We've already introduced you before, but I would really wish to go further with that. Ladies and gentlemen, Alankit, in its endeavor to be the best GSP, has partnered with the Edicare as GSP technology partner. Edicare subsidiary UdyogSoftware Limited. UdyogSoftware is India's leader in the tax and compliance technology and recipient of CIO Choice Award in GRSC, that is Governance, Risk and Compliance category thrice. Ladies and gentlemen, since 1993, Udyog has been providing central excise VAT 28 states, service tax, export-import scheme and documents, I don't know how to do it, SEZ, EOU and other compliance automations as well. Udyog's 14,000 customers range from small traders in Masjid Mumbai, tax consultants and CAs in VAPI Gujarat, medium and large industries all over India such as ITC, Kirloskar, Every Dimension, Delphi and more. So ladies and gentlemen, that is about Pavan Peechara. Inke liye zara zordar taali honi chahiye. Sir, indeed, you are very much special to us. I'd request you to please step forward. And I'm going to request our very dear personality we know as Mr. Ankit Agrawal to please step forward to do the honor. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed it is the time to kindly proceed for high tea, but it is a humble request to all of you. आप सभी से विनम्रता पूर्वक विनती है, कृपया 10 से 15 मिनट में वापस आ जाएं. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to request to you all to be here sharp at 4:25. The next session will surely begin at 4:25 p.m. Thank you.
हेलो हेलो हाँ हेलो बेटा एक काम करना ये वाइट जला दी तूने पहले वाइट सारी बंद कर दे चेक चेक इसमें बैठो इसमें बैठ अबे यार सिर्फ नैरो ऑन रख बस कोई नहीं नैरो ऑन रख